and welcome to another episode of Heart Centered Conversations with me, Jane McDowell. And today I'm chuffed to bits to be able to introduce my wonderful guest, Nikki Marshall. Nikki is the director of Discover Your Bounce, an amazing business based in Bristol in the southwest. And Nikki has an amazing story to tell. But we're going to focus on a book first of all. So, Nikki, tell us, which book have you brought to the conversation today?
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. I love books. I love reading books, sniffing books. But my favourite book is, or the book that had the biggest impact, I think, is Infinite Possibilities by Mike Dooley.
That sounds like a great title in and of itself. So, what possibilities came up as a result of reading the book for you, Nikki?
Yeah, well, it was interesting because I've been on a personal development journey for years, but rolling back, I had been in quite a controlling relationship, and I'd left that relationship, and I was starting my own kind of journey, striking out as myself, and I had decided there was a place in America called Sedona in Arizona, which is just this beautiful red rock country. It's lovely. And I decided that one day I would go to Sedona. And then my now partner, Phil, my husband, Phil, was like, why don't you go now? I was like, oh, I couldn't possibly go now. Couldn't possibly. Lots of barriers in the way. Anyway, so I booked the flight, but I was absolutely terrified. And I was reading this book. So he dropped me off to the airport, and I almost cried and sort of thought, what am I going to do next? Got as far as, got through security, started reading this book. And it was all about how, if we think there is one possibility, we think that our only option is to do A, there's always a B, a C, a D, right the way through. So that he was saying, there are so many possibilities. Life is unpredictable. So I got as far as Amsterdam, and I'd started reading a few pages. And when I managed to locate the gate in Amsterdam, got sat, was just about to give myself a gold star when I realised that the wing of the engine of the plane was open on the runway. That's never a good sign, right? So
Well,
there were people getting stressed and complaining to the kind of cabin crew and everyone. I just thought, I'm going to carry on reading my book. So all this was happening around me, and it was basically saying that the universe will look after you. There are all these possibilities, and you have to just trust that everything is working in your favor. So I just carried on reading my book, and eventually, sure enough, on the tannoy, they told me exactly how long it was going to take, and that when we were in the air, they would rebook on my next connecting flight. So actually, by me sitting and reading my book with a cup of tea, everything just got sorted, and everyone else was doing all these other things and getting really stressed, which would have historically been me. But if it hadn't have been for this book, then life might have been different. And so now when things don't happen or don't work, I'm always open to the fact that there are other possibilities around me.
yeah, and isn't it a great reminder that there's no point stressing about things that are out of your control?
Yeah,
It's
because
not
I
like you
think
could have
that's
fixed the engine, is it? I know you have many skills, Nikki, but I don't think being an engineer is one of them.
no, I can wire a plug. That's as far as it gets. But yeah, our brain instantly we want certainty, don't we? And
Yeah.
actually, if you can let that go, then there could be something better for us. So yeah, I just loved that concept.
And so taking that concept with you, as you said, you were just in a transitional period in your life, leaving one horrible relationship and getting into a much better relationship and changing your life. So how did that also help you in what came after that?
Yeah, well, I think my like I say, my husband now is very, very self-assured, and I really wasn't at that point. And so being able to decide on something, and also I'm Piscean, so I'm two fish swimming in the wrong direction. It's not conducive to decision making. I've never been known for decision making historically. But knowing that there are infinite possibilities, then you can just try one. And if that doesn't work, you can try something else. So I think over time, I became a lot more decisive, and also thinking, well, what would be the worst thing that happened if I did go down this route? And as long as you're okay with that, then you know that if it doesn't work, you can try something else. So I think it really did help with my own self-assurance, because I wasn't public speaking then, and I don't think I could have. I think I would have took myself out of a lot of opportunities, whereas actually by knowing there's infinite possibilities, I've took myself into a lot more things over the years.
Brilliant. And so, what might those have been? I mean, it's difficult for me because I know a bit about you anyway. But I'm just, are you able to share with everyone else what those possibilities were and where you are now compared to where you were at that point?
Yeah, so at that time, I had a holistic therapy business. I was doing Reiki, Indian head massage, and reflexology, and I was reading the tarot, doing some mediumship. But I had a space within someone else's therapy center, and when I came back from that trip in Sedona, it was just so life changing because there was Wayne Dyer was speaking there, a lady called Ian Le Van Sant, who was just this amazing inspirational lady, James Van Prague, the medium. I got to see all these different people, and I came back a very different person as a result of saying yes and going in the first place. But within a few weeks, I was looking for my own premises, and my dream business had always been a coffee shop and holistic centre. And I then started looking for that. And so I came back, I think that was the November, and I think it was in the April I actually opened up the business that I'd been dreaming about and not really taking steps towards.
Yeah.
And okay, I had that business for a few years, and lots happened there, but that the public speaking came as a result of networking and wanting to kind of promote the business, promote myself. And so, yeah, I've spoken on stages in New Delhi in India, in Slovenia, in Boston in the US. Yeah, I was only saying to someone the other day that actually, if you'd told 34-year-old Nikki what was going to happen, bearing in mind I'm 54 now, the last 20 years, I would not have believed the things that could change. And it didn't all happen overnight, but just as the result of saying yes to a few things that previously you might have said no to. And that's what I say to people, are you open to there being a different way than the way you'd imagined? Because,
Yeah.
yeah, life can be amazing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many different ways to go, aren't there? And I know you've got your really successful business, Discover Your Bounce, and then recently you've set up the Witch's Brew, which I'm proud to say I'm a member of. So tell us a bit about that and what you hope that that will bring to people's lives.
Yeah, so just very long story short, after the coffee shop, during running the coffee shop, I went scuba diving and ended up having a stroke through stress, which was a massive change. And
Yeah,
obviously, it could have bought into the negative life that was painted for me at that point and shut the business and not done anything else. But again, with this possibilities, I within 3 years I made a full recovery, and there was a lot of effort involved in that, a lot of study and a lot of personal training and looking after myself and changing lots of habits. But when I eventually sold the coffee shop in 2013, I started Discover Your Bounce. It was all about bouncing back from whatever holds you back in life. So we started personal well-being and personal mentoring. Then we went into the corporate space. I met my now business partner, Sharon Critchlow, and we started the corporate well-being slot. And we've spoken to thousands of people within organizations since then. Then we started a publishing company because I'd written my own books, but again thought, well, why don't I just publish this one under my own publishing house? And now we're nearing 40 books in print, so we've become quite an established
yeah, and that's been relatively short amount of time, isn't it, to get to 40 books?
yeah, considering publishing is like this really established industry. But again, I'm really proud that we've held people's hand. I think that's it. We're very much in that space of how can we make this better for other people. Yeah, and then last year, because obviously the coffee shop was called the Witch's Brew, and I'd sold that, but I thought, well, actually, it was the women that I brought together. It was the spiritual development that we did there that was the main thing. So I thought, well, I can just bring that into an online space. So we run monthly masterclasses, as you know, but on all sorts of different subjects, from meditation to reading your own oracle cards and everything in between. So it's really nice that I've got these different communities and these different spaces, but behind it all is helping people to live the life that they love and that they're proud of, and so they can take that leap, with our support. So yeah, it's been exciting.
Yeah, and it's fantastic to have built that community as well, where women can support each other. Um, Especially, I mean, like in the work that I do, helping women find their voices. There's there seems to be an awful lot of barriers in our society for women to do that. So I think that, creating those communities where women can come together and speak freely and express themselves without fear of this, that, and the other is really empowering, isn't it?
Yeah, because I love, everything we do within Discover Your Bounce is for men and women. But I really love the Witches Brew space. It's based on woman in total charge of herself. And I think to create that self-empowerment and to feel confident in yourself, it is lovely when other women can help you within that. So like you say, it does feel like we need those safe spaces to have those conversations, because men and women, I've talked to my husband about loads of the things, that the way he thinks, the way I think, we do think in very different ways. And I'm not saying men can't be supportive, far from it. I've got loads of men that support, but I think when women come together within that closed community, they can use their voice, as with the work you do, and go on and do more and be more, so yeah, it's a lovely place to be.
Yeah. So what's next, Nikki?
Well, I am writing my next book, which does kind of come into that empowerment space. It is kind of a personal development book. The title's not confirmed, and I am writing it. So I'm going to spend the summer writing that book. More publishing, more well-being. We've started doing leadership development within the corporate space as well. But also more travel. We've converted we have a van we've converted. We're going to do some more traveling around different countries, more time with my grandchildren. I think I love the blueprint of my life. I love, like I say, even 10 years ago, I was in a very different space, couldn't necessarily work from anywhere. And I've very purposefully changed that. I don't put up with things that I'm not happy with. And sometimes people are like, oh, you're always doing something, but I'm always refining it. But I
Yeah.
think the blueprint of my life, I absolutely adore. So I'm amplifying that. I think that's the amplifiers. I think it's a good word. Just amplify
Yeah, lush. Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, I'm excited to see where that leads.
Cool. So tell me, with the travel, are there books that you've read that have inspired you to travel to certain places or want to do particular activities elsewhere?
Yeah, I think it is more. I just think people are amazing generally. Like anyone I meet, I'm always just really excited to understand, where people have come from and their experiences and all that kind of stuff. But I've also looked at a lot of from the spiritual development side of things. I've studied shamanism and druidry and Wicca and lots of other religions. And through travel, I'm understanding other religions like Islam and Sikhism when we were traveling through India. And so I think when you read about cultures and places and how things are the way they are and why people do what they do, I think there's not a specific book when I'm traveling, but I'm always looking at the cultures and places and like I say, people. I just think we've been to some amazing places, and people have always been so helpful. When we went to get on a train, we were like, are we on the right platform? Or was this the right track? And this lovely guy was like, yeah, come with me, and just literally made sure we sat in our seat and we knew where to put our cases and all this sort of stuff. And it wasn't,
Yeah.
I was like, is this your train? He's like, no, no, no. And he, got off and went about his day. So yeah, I think it is lovely to explore, and what a world we live in, right?
No, I know. And it's funny you should mention about how traveling and learning about other cultures and religions, because I mean, I'm not a hugely religious, well, I'm not religious. Okay. But I'm always sort of a bit confused about why some religions exist in some parts of the world, because it seems to me that where were they came from the environment of the people that are in a certain place, and they don't always translate somewhere else. So a really simple thing is, I know that a lot of European people moved to Australia. But to me, the whole idea of Christmas really coming from a pagan festival around, winter solstice. Why the hell would you be celebrating that in Australia when it's summer solstice? Is a whole separate kind of feel vibe, isn't it? So it's just, yeah, I'm fascinated about how people drag things to other places where they don't always fit.
No,
So,
and we were in Peru in South America last year, and we quite by accident we were with a guide going from one place to another, and he said, "Oh, did you want to stop in this craft place?" We're like, "Yeah, sure." So, and it turned out it was the guy that was there. His father, no, his dad. His dad helped build the Kontiki, the
yeah,
the
yeah,
the raft, and so, um, but they were on about different cultures built similar things, but
yeah.
from different parts of the world. And actually in South America, in Peru, there's like Bolivia, there's the coca leaves. Everyone drinks coca, chews coca, but they said that coca leaves had been found in drawings in India, so they know that the people must have, before the Kontiki, people must have gone by boat from South America to India. So,
Yeah,
like you say, just looking, we think that we're the traveled bunch, but actually years ago there was so much travel, and yeah, learning about the Kontiki, and this guy's dad had literally gone all around the world, like building different boats out of different woods. And I think they did them out of I think it was coconut. No, is it the coconut tree? There was one, they built it, and the organisms in the ocean basically ate it because it tastes nice. So they
oh
were
wow.
the boat was being eaten as they were floating. So that didn't work. They had to go back to the drawing board. But yeah, isn't it fascinating? Just
Yeah, yeah, because it also seems that various cultures around the world have very similar mythologies, like the flood myth, for example, or some kind of for want of a better word, some kind of superhuman that appears and
yeah,
spreads
like
joy and happiness, or yeah.
yeah, like Kokopelli. When you go to certain in Sedona in Arizona, they talk about Kokopelli, who was supposed to be half man, half god.
Okay,
It's all
yeah.
these different. But yeah, I think actually the book that all the travel reminds me of is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho,
Oh yeah.
because he talks about going on this massive journey to realize that everything he had at home. And I remember so when we were in South America, we went to Machu Picchu, we went to all these other Inca um, uh, buildings and dwellings and things, and I always find myself saying, "Oh, that's like Stonehenge at home," or "Oh, that's like we do this," or "That's like," and so, like you say, you go to these amazing places just to remember that you have also amazing places on your.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
that's The Alchemist.
totally. Yeah, cool. So, Nikki, what are you reading at the moment?
What am I reading at the moment? Actually, I am reading a book called What's it called? The How Not to Die cookbook.
Oh yeah, yeah, by Dr.
So,
Gregor, I can't remember now.
Michael Greger.
That's
Yeah.
it, Michael Gregor. Yeah.
Because having had certain gut health challenges over the last few weeks, I've decided to change my diet. So to bring in more plant-based foods, not necessarily totally plant-based, but to kind of look at a different way of cooking, to kind of reduce inflammation and improve health. Yeah, and I think again, it's nice to take yourself out of what you always do, because when you're really busy, you might always have this on a Monday, or you always have the
Yeah.
same three or four things. And yeah, it's been nice to experiment and just try different soups, different fruit and veg, and just yeah, trying different things. So yeah, I don't tend to read for fun. I don't tend to read fiction books unless it's one I'm publishing. I tend to read personal development or educational books. That's kind of um yeah, that's kind of my thing.
You are not the first person to say a very similar thing. I've had several guests who said, I don't really do fiction. I just read self-development, which is fine. Um,
In my teens, I was absolutely Stephen King. Anything that Stephen King wrote, I would devour. I was totally a fiction fan then. Um, but yeah, it's nice learning something new, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I read How Not to Die, the actual book, not cookbook, um, probably about 6 years ago, and it really did shift how I thought about food. And recently I've read Ultra Processed People by one of the Van Tolkien twins. I can't remember which one. Sorry if you ever see this. Um, but that was really illuminating as well because they wrote it from the same perspective of that book about giving up smoking. So it's not about
All
you have
right.
to stop. It just talks about, you know, what goes on in ultra processed food and how it's made, and etc. etc. And really, by the end of it, I would be surprised if anybody reading it would think, "Yeah, I'm just going to carry on buying all that same old crap that I'm buying from the supermarket all the time."
Yeah. I think the best advice that I was ever given was to go around the outside of the supermarket because all the beige stuff is in the middle.
Yes.
So, and it was interesting. I was working with a health coach a couple of years ago, and I said, well, I only have like I have coffee and cake once a week. I said that's my treat, and he said, isn't it interesting that you think that the thing that has no nutritional value at all is your treat? And
Yeah.
it really made me think because, like you say, historically, we've puddings are treats and all this kind of, and it just showed me the psychology behind what you believe. So yeah, when you think about it, your treat is all the good stuff, all the fruit, all the veg, all the, So yeah, but I do try and shop around the outside. So
It's really difficult. I got to a point where I didn't shop in the supermarket for 10 years because I read another book called Not on the Label. So that really opened my eye up to how supermarkets treat the farmers and how unjust the whole system is. So I was like, no, I'm not buying from them. So I was very fortunate because I lived in London at the time, had a really fantastic local farms market every week. So yeah, I bought from there in small shops, which was great. And yeah, but then I moved to Bristol and it wasn't quite as readily available, surprisingly enough. So, because I
yeah,
thought, oh, I'm moving to the West Country, there'll be loads of produce, but yeah, it's weird. There isn't. Yeah. So
yeah. But I think again, rather than getting overwhelmed, that infinite possibilities thing, again, coming back to that, rather than getting overwhelmed, just thinking, well, what can I swap? What can I swap? So I don't really have dairy milk anyway, but I'm trying, almond milk and also if I'm having almond milk, what can I have in it so that it's not caffeine? So I mean, chai has a small amount of caffeine in it, but I try like chai lattes instead of a normal latte. And yeah, I'm just trying each week to think. And also, we hosted a workshop today and we were talking about different veg. So again, when you're really busy, you might just grab whatever you always have. So trying to use different veg. I put some celery in some soup yesterday, that kind of thing, and just yeah, trying to swap up. So you don't have to change everything, but just bit by bit, just swapping one thing at a time.
yeah, absolutely. It's a journey, it's an adventure, it's something to have fun with rather than something to feel really angsty about or depressed or that kind of feeling like, oh, I'm on a diet and oh, I can't have this and I can't have that. It's about, yay, what can I have and celebrating.
Yeah, and also why you're doing it because
Yeah,
I have grown-up children, I have grandchildren, and I want the energy and the flexibility and the vitality to do more with them, as well as more travel, that kind of thing. So it is keeping that purpose in mind, isn't it, of why you do
yeah,
it? Because then
absolutely. Yeah.
it does feel like more of an adventure with a sort of purpose in mind. So so yes, I'm not saying I never have a grumpy day because I absolutely do. But it's trying to just see that, yeah, see the why behind the things that you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, good luck with that, Nikki. It sounds like you're moving in the right direction to keep at bay all those gut issues that you were having. So it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast, and I happily welcome you back at some point in the future. So for now, everybody for watching, thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next episode. Take care.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jane.
Bye.